The rain struck my face like pinpricks as I stood before the door of my parents' house, each drop cutting through the last bit of strength I had left. I tightened my grip around the small, trembling hand of Liam, the 10-year-old boy who had become my entire world over the past 3 years. His thin shoulders shook under the soaked jacket, his hair plastered to his forehead, his eyes wide with fear as he looked up at the house that was supposed to be my home. A place I once believed would always welcome me. But even before knocking, a heavy weight pressed against my chest, whispering that this night would not end gently. I swallowed hard and forced out a shaky breath. "It's going to be all right, buddy," I whispered, though my own voice cracked with doubt. Liam didn't answer. He simply squeezed my fingers tighter, seeking warmth I didn't have. We had walked miles in that storm after the last bus left us behind. I had no more money for a motel, no friends left to call, no savings, no job, no pride. Only him. And that had to be enough. When I finally lifted my hand and knocked, the sound drowned beneath the roar of rain. My heart thundered, each beat a reminder of how far I had fallen. Moments later, the door opened just a fraction, and the familiar face of my father appeared. Henry Thompson. Strong jaw, silvering hair, and an expression that once held pride for me. Tonight, it held disbelief and disappointment. "Alex." He stared as if I were a stranger on his porch. His gaze dropped to Liam, then shot back at me. "What in the world happened to you?" Before I could answer, my mother peeked over his shoulder, her robe wrapped tightly around her as if shielding herself from the sight of me. "Goodness, Alex. You look terrible. And who is that child?" I felt Liam press into my leg, trying to hide. "Mom, Dad, can we come in?" "He's freezing." My father stepped back, just enough to let us enter, but not enough to feel like welcome. The warmth inside engulfed us, almost painful after the cold outside. A fire danced in the fireplace. The house smelled like cinnamon tea. How could everything look so peaceful when my life was falling apart? I set the bag down and tried to steady my voice. "I lost my job months ago. The company cut half its staff. I tried everything, odd jobs, labor shifts, anything I could find. But it wasn't enough. Then Sarah left. She emptied our account. We were evicted last week." My throat closed. I didn't know where else to go. But instead of comfort, instead of the understanding I had prayed for, my father's expression hardened like stone. "So you came here expecting us to fix your mistakes?" His voice was sharp, unforgiving. "You're 32, Alex. I taught you better than this. Life knocks you down, you stand up on your own. You don't drag your mess to our doorstep." The words pierced deeper than the cold ever could. "Dad. I'm not asking for much. Just a place to stay for a short time while I find work. Please. Liam needs shelter." My mother's eyes flicked to the boy again. "And why exactly are you responsible for him? You could barely manage your own life." I placed a hand on Liam's shoulder. He was trying so hard not to cry. "He's my adopted son. I found him years ago, alone and starving. I couldn't leave him. He had no one." My father let out a harsh breath. "So you bring another burden into your failures. And now you expect us to support both of you." He pointed at Liam as though the boy was at fault. "He cannot stay here. I won't have it." I felt something inside me crumble. "Dad, he's just a child." "That's not my concern," he snapped. Liam tugged my sleeve gently. "Alex, maybe we should go." His voice was soft, shaking. That broke me more than anything my parents said. "Please," I whispered. "Just for tonight." But my father stepped forward and, with a final glare, opened the door, out. Now. And don't come back until you can stand on your own 2 feet. My mother didn't say a word. Not even goodbye. The door closed behind us with a painful thud, muffling the sound of fire and warmth inside. The rain swallowed us immediately. Liam wiped his face with the sleeve of his jacket. Why didn't they want us? He asked, eyes glistening. I forced a smile I didn't feel. They're just confused. It's not your fault. Nothing is your fault. But the truth was, every step back into that storm felt like another piece of hope slipping away. I had lost my job, my marriage, my home, and now even the family I thought would always be there. All I had left was a little boy whose small hand rested in mine, trusting me to lead him somewhere better. I had no idea where that was. But I knew I couldn't fail him. As we walked through the dim, rain-soaked streets, memories flooded me, memories of the day I first met Liam. He had been just a faint silhouette on my porch, collapsed from hunger and cold. I had carried him inside, wrapped him in a blanket, fed him soup, watched life return to his eyes. And somewhere along the way, he filled a silence in my life I never realized was there. The night stretched endlessly ahead. My feet ached. My heart felt heavier than the soaked bag on my shoulder. But whenever I stumbled, Liam squeezed my hand, reminding me why I had to keep going. Even when everything else was gone, love somehow remained, and that had to be enough. I don't remember falling asleep that night, only the weight of exhaustion pressing down on me like an avalanche. Yet when I woke the next morning, the house felt different, too quiet, like it was holding its breath. Hannah wasn't in bed. Her side was cold, untouched since the night before. A cold stab of fear shot through me. I found her in the kitchen, staring at the floor as if bracing to meet a truth she couldn't bear. The sunlight coming through the window outlined her trembling shoulders. A cup of untouched tea sat beside her hands, already gone cold. Hannah. My voice came out rough, small. She lifted her eyes to me, and in that moment, I felt something inside me crack. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying for hours, and there was that hollowed-out look again, the one that made me feel helpless, useless. The one that made me want to tear the world apart, just to give her back the peace she'd lost. Caleb, she whispered, and my name broke in her voice. I moved toward her without thinking, gathering her into my arms. She didn't resist, but she didn't melt into me either. She just stood there. Rigid. Fragile. Like something that might shatter if I held too tight. I can't breathe anymore, she said against my chest. Every day I wake up, and it feels like something heavy is sitting on me. I can't see a way out. Her words stabbed straight through my ribs. Hannah, please. We'll figure it out. You don't have to carry this alone. She pulled away, wiping her face with the heel of her hand. That's just it, Caleb. I feel like I'm dragging you down with me. Like I'm drowning and pulling you under. You're my wife, I said softly. If you drown, I drown. That's how this works. Her eyes filled again, tears trembling on the edge. She shook her head, voice barely audible. But you didn't marry this. You didn't marry someone who wakes up terrified, someone who can't sleep, who cries over nothing. That doesn't make you broken, I said desperately. But I could see she didn't believe me, not even a little. I'd always known Hannah as the strong one. The girl who'd grown up fighting for everything she had. The woman who'd stood beside me through storms that would have crushed other marriages. But watching her unravel like this, the pain was indescribable. Like watching a fire die out slowly, helplessly, even as you blow your lungs out trying to save it. She reached for my hands, her fingers cold. "You need to promise me something," she said. "I'll promise you anything. If I can't pull myself out of this, don't blame yourself. I don't want you living the rest of your life thinking you failed me." A wave of terror blasted through me. I grabbed her shoulders, almost too tightly. "Don't say things like that," I choked out. "Hannah, look at me. I'm not going anywhere. And neither are you." She looked at me with such sadness it hollowed me out. "You can't know that." "Yes, I can," I said. "I know you. I know the girl who used to run barefoot in the rain. The woman who made this house feel like home. The one who refused to let me give up on myself when I lost my job. You think I'm going to give up on you now? You think I'd ever let you face this alone?" Her throat bobbed, and she pressed her forehead to my chest. And for a long moment, we just stood there. Her tears soaked through my shirt, and every drop felt like a burn, but the truth was, a part of me was terrified. Terrified that no matter how tightly I held her, she was slipping away. That the woman I loved was disappearing behind a veil of darkness I couldn't reach through. Later that afternoon, she asked me to drive her to Willow Creek's counseling center. Something inside her had shifted after our conversation, maybe the fear of how close she'd come to giving up, maybe the realization that she needed help. Whatever it was, I didn't question it. I'd have driven her to the ends of the earth if it meant keeping her alive. The ride was silent. Her hand rested on the seat between us, and I kept reaching over to touch it, to remind her, and myself, that she wasn't alone. That she was still here. When we arrived, she hesitated outside the building. Her breathing went shallow, hands trembling. "I don't know if I can walk in," she whispered. I took her hand gently. "Then we'll walk in together." She nodded, just barely, and we stepped inside. The counselor, a calm woman named Dr. Alden, spoke to Hannah alone at first. I waited in the lobby, staring at the clock, as if I could will it to move faster. Every minute felt like a year. Every second, I imagined her breaking further apart in a room I couldn't enter. When she finally came out, her face was blotchy, her eyes swollen. But there was something else too, a tiny glimmer. A flicker of something that looked almost like relief. "She wants to see you next time," Hannah murmured. "Together." "Okay," I said, and pulled her into my arms. On the drive home, she fell asleep in the passenger seat, her head resting against the window. She looked younger when she slept. Vulnerable in a way that tore me open, and as I watched her breath rise and fall, something inside me hardened. A resolve I didn't know I had. I would fight for her. Even if she couldn't fight for herself. Even if the world tried to swallow her whole. Because loving someone meant stepping into the darkness with them, not standing at the edge calling their name. But even then, even with my arms around her, my heart beating in a rhythm that begged her to stay, I felt the truth creeping in. The real battle was only beginning.